turned off my Wi-Fi, so my silly phone kept cutting in and out. Okay, so this is what we look like, and why shouldn't we have instant gratification? I'm sorry, I just can't get behind the going slow concept. But Deb's going to come on and defend her point of view in a few minutes. Meantime, I'm going to speak to instant gratification. So, remember, girls, I'm speaking to girls now because guys have always gone for the instant gratification. And when I was growing up, we had birth control pills and we got to go, oh, we can do what we want. We just have to be careful not to get, any of those diseases. So you want to be safe. But why shouldn't I have just as much fun as a guy? And why shouldn't I be able to do it whenever I want? Why do I have to wait? I don't really care to get married. So what's the big deal? And plus, if you're online dating, why wouldn't you just have some fun with it? And why do you have to sit back and go, oh no, I'm going to be a good girl? Come on. We're adults. Let's go have some fun. So as Samantha, I vote for the instant gratification. How do you know if the guy is worth staying with? How do you know if he's worth hanging around with? I mean, that's like the spice of life. So why am I going to leave it behind? So I would like you guys to give me your input on that comment. And Deb is going to come on and give you my little rebuttal because she's been doing the going slow. And she's like, wow, it's actually cool. This is kind of fun. So if you guys hang in there, we'll be right back. And Deb is going to take her turn. Well, thanks, Samantha. But, I was on that instant gratification train also. And I just have to say, it was hard. It's really hard to try and pretend you're 19 or 29 or 39 and get in the sack with some guy and you don't even really know him, but you're like, oh, I'm so old, I gotta do this. Or, they're just gonna think I'm not worth it and I'm not worth hanging out with. And so I I put it in my brain that I can do this. I'm just going to meet these guys. And if I like them and we feel sexy, we'll go that route. We'll do the instant gratification. So I have, been seeing someone, 8th date last night, and we specifically have chosen not to get intimate. And we're being like teenagers, we're hugging and kissing and occasionally he grabs my butt and, and we're really flirting. It's intense flirting and it is so much fun. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what it was like in high school before I finally took my first lover in high school. And it's amazing, you guys, because the bond, we are building an unbelievable bond. And besides, when you're 69 and he's 70, things don't work the way they did when you were a kid. So you have to have a lot more planning in the process. And so we're actually discussing, okay, well, what do you like? And how do you like it? And how has it been working for you the last few years? And what are the things that you would bring to the table and what do you like? And I mean, it's amazing to have these discussions and not jump into bed and to just stay above it, but to allow the emotions, to allow the feelings, to talk about them with each other and to accept that we have made a pact and we're not going to try and seduce each other. Because I made this pact with myself in college. I'd been dating, I'd had a boyfriend in high school. We had gotten intimate. I knew what it was all about. And now I'm away at college and I'm like, what am I doing? And I started dating and, they all want to just take you to bed. And so when you're in college, you go to bed with a few guys. I think it was 3. And then I realized I was dating cads and that's all they wanted. And as soon as they get you in bed, they're just dumping you on to the next. So I thought, well, this is sucky. So I was 18 and a half and I said, I'm going to go celibate for 9 months at 18 and a half. And I had been dating really gorgeous guys, really big, tall, handsome, the athletes, the rich kids, all that shit, the frat boys. And after the 9 months of staying celibate, and I actually had a really sweet guy and he spent the night with me, but he did not try anything because he was such a gentleman and we just cuddled. And then he graduated because he was a senior. So when I came out of that 9-month cycle of celibacy, I ended up dating someone I wouldn't have dated prior because I was clear. My head was clear. I knew who I was, and I no longer had to prove that I was cute and sexy and fun and worth being with because I knew I was cute and sexy and fun and worth being with without going to bed with them. So fast forward, I meet that guy, we end up dating, we end up moving in together, we end up married 2 years later, 30 years with one man, a most amazing relationship, nothing bad to say about that relationship. We just had some issues when we adopted our kids and it didn't work out. So then I had the break and then I had the cycle at 51 of trying to figure out who am I now without this man I loved for 30 years? Who am I? And what do I do in this wide world of men? And how do I even know if they want me? And I wanted to be wanted because I was feeling rejected and I was feeling alone. And I thought I have to put out. And oh, by the way, it wasn't put out because I wanted to know I was functional sexually with someone new. I wanted to know I wasn't stuck with this 30-year relationship and I would never have another sexual relationship again at 51. And I'm like, what the heck? So that's what my first book was about, was Sexy, Lean, and Strong after 50. How do you re-engage? How do you take care of yourself? How do you build a new life? So I had a few lovers, I think 3 or 4. And the 4th one, I ended up marrying again. So now I'm married 14 years. The last few years, it fell apart, but we were still being intimate, but it wasn't intimacy. It was like mechanical, perfunctory, let's just get it done, get the rocks off, blah, blah. So then now I'm divorced. I take another vow of celibacy. So I jumped out of that marriage at 68. Took a vow of celibacy because I thought I wanted to be 19 again. I wanted to be clear of who I was and my personal value and worth. And so I sat back, and it helped that we were on lockdown. There was nowhere to meet anybody and you couldn't go to a restaurant. You couldn't do anything. So it helped because I got my head really, really clear. And I had one platonic relationship and it was awesome. And he and I agreed early on. He took one look at me and he goes, you are not ready to do this. And I went, you're right. Thank you. So we were celibate and we kissed and that was it. Then I bought my home. I moved to a new area. I didn't know anybody. I do have one family member here, but I don't see them very much. So I was really, really lonely. And I thought, okay, I got to start dating again. So I go out on the internet and I used Zoosk and I had 2 serious intimate relationships, one right after the other. Each one lasted less than 90 days because they were moving. I knew they were moving and that's why I got involved. I knew I wasn't going to have to hang in there for the long haul because I wasn't done figuring out who I was. And there were reasons for those relationships and I'm going to put it in the book. But I'm not going to tell you here because you're going to have to buy the book for that. But then I had the toothless Casanova. I want to talk to you about the toothless Casanova. He's going to be in the book, but I'm going to give you a hint. So picture a guy, really gorgeous, high cheekbones, Hispanic, so caramel skin, the long hair. He's a musician. He's also a self-employed plumber, has big, huge projects. And he used to be in a rock band, and he used to go around the world, and he used to have lots of one-night stands. Then he gets married. He's married for 17 years. His wife passes away 8 years ago. Very traumatic. He gets back into the dating scene, and he picks up people and he beds them in one night. So he finds me and we're talking, and then his teeth get knocked out. So I made a video about one of those. His teeth get knocked out. He's like, I don't need to date right now. Nobody's going to want me. I go, look, we've been talking. Let's just meet. I don't care if you lost your front teeth. You can get them back. And so we meet, and hot. The guy without front teeth is hot. And he's a sailor, and he's a hard body, and he's really amazing. And he knows how to seduce a woman with words and eyes and descriptions. And he took my hand on our first, meet. I wouldn't call it a date because we just sat out in front of Starbucks with our dogs, and then we walked our dogs. But he pushed my sleeve up and he said, I just wanted to feel your skin. And I went, swoon. And brought him home, gave him some soup because I knew he couldn't chew anything. And I wanted to really get to talk to him. And so then he came and took me for a second date, and we had lobster, and it was wonderful. And then he put the full court press on. He's like stroking me and kissing me. And I'm telling you, kissing without front teeth, kind of amazing. But I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, well, why not? Everybody else does. I'm really a good lover, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, well, so am I. And I'm not going to do that. So the third date, he sends me a beautiful love poem. Oh my God, I was melting. Then he gets me on the phone and seduces me on the phone. He shows up for the third date. He's 4 hours late. I put him to work. And after he worked off my anger watching him work, then we had dinner, and, then we got intimate. And then he found out he had to be gone the next day, and he was supposed to be staying over, and we were supposed to have the whole day together. So I had cut a deal that I'll go to bed with you, providing you spend the whole next day with me. But he decided he couldn't. Then he was supposed to come back, and then he got sick. And by the time we rescheduled, he canceled 2 hours before the date. So this is the guy that then ghosted me, because I wrote to him and I said, if I'm not more important than a plumbing project on the last minute on Friday, and you're leaving me hanging after I bought all these stupid groceries to cook you a meal so you could spend the night so we could really get to know each other. And he's like, well, I told you I was going to make a long-term commitment and blah, blah, blah. I go, I don't want a long-term commitment. I just want to know you well enough to accept you back in my bed. And he goes, well, I go, okay, it's obvious I'm not of value to you. I don't have any worth. And so, by the way, buddy, I do have value. I am worth more than this. And you're not welcome back here anymore. We are at an impasse. Goodbye. So I stopped talking to him, and I had a dry spell. And then I started dating a whole bunch of guys, a whole bunch of little weird dates, no sleepovers. And I was like screening them as fast as possible. And you've seen the TikToks. If you watch my TikTok, I've been screening. And then on December 18, I found this man that I call the museum guy. And we exchanged some conversation. We got on the phone. I loved his voice. You guys, he could be a radio announcer. His voice will melt you. I'm not kidding you. And so I asked him to join me for a museum and a dinner. Our first date was 6.5 hours. We have now had 8 dates since December 18, and he was gone for 10 days to Alaska. So we have had 7 dates since January 4th when he got back. And I have learned so much about myself and him and how we connect. And we're like gears. We just mesh. I haven't felt this close to anyone since the guy I married in college. Literally. And he knows that. I've told him that. So the beauty of not jumping into the sack and postponing and mutually agreeing to postpone is amazing, because he brought it up because he lost his wife 2 years ago and he was with her for 31 years and he hasn't been with anybody else for a really long time. And he hasn't been intimate for a long time because she was ill. This is a big deal for him. And if I was playing the Samantha girl, I would have just said, I want to get my rocks off. I need some guy. I'm going to go get my instant gratification. And I'm like, hell, I've had the instant gratification. I've had the sweet long-term commitment. I choose sweet long-term commitment. And I don't really care if we're not sexually compatible. I don't care. That's not how I'm measuring this relationship. And that is huge. So there's not a vow of celibacy. There's a vow of when we both are ready. And we've decided 90 days sounds like a good time to see if we're ready. But who knows? We might push it out. I don't think we'll move it in because it's really, really, really important to us. And just honoring that with each other. And I now have had really tough conversations with him that other guys have had to go because of. And he has made it through every single one of those conversations. And I've made it through his tough conversations. So we're connected. And last night we talked about love. And he said, I asked myself this morning, am I in love with this girl? And he said, no, I'm not in love with her, but I really, really, really like her. And I looked at him and I said, I'm not in love with you yet either. And I said, it's too soon, but I adore you. And we looked at each other, and we do. And now we can't stand to go a day without talking. And we make sure we say good morning and good night. And we're trying to have a date every 2 days. And we're making it happen. And he's booked me ahead of time for parties with his friends. These are important people to him. They helped him survive his wife's death because he has no family in the area. And it's really interesting to me when we step out of that situation of, oh, I got to get it on to prove I'm still here and I'm alive and I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. When we step out of that and we say, who am I? Who do I want to be with? How do I want to be treated? How do I want to be respected? How do I want to be honored? Hi, everybody. I'm going to take a breath right now. Woo, that made me really emotional. And he's not just talking a year from now. He's talking long-term future. He is so open to being committed and to not looking. And so I think our next conversation, next date is tomorrow night. We're going to a movie and he's going to pick me up. It's going to be a real date. You know, he'll drive here, pick me up, take me to the movie, drive me home. Wow. I mean, that's not the norm in online dating because you want to meet them away from your home. So when you bring them home, you have to have vetted them really carefully. And if you're going to sleep with someone, you better have vetted them really carefully. So I even use background check. I often will look them up on social media. Most of the people I date are either Facebook or LinkedIn connection. I can find them there. And that's important to me, because I live alone with a dog and I got to take care of myself. Dating men at our age, you must remember a lot of men are simply looking for companionship. Yes. And he may only be looking for companionship. And I will have to decide if that's okay. I'm a bit younger than his wife. And she stopped needing intimacy a while ago. So, but we get to explore that together. We get to have that conversation. And guess what he said? He does not care if we're in a love relationship a year from now. He is open to just being a friend, being loving, flirting, and, connecting and supporting each other. So yeah, and he might. Someone says may suffer from erectile function. I don't know. I'm not going to ask him. At the moment, I'm not going to ask him. But my last husband, he took meds. And I dated a guy that took meds. He almost had a heart attack on me because he drank his Italian wine and smoked his marijuana, and then all kinds of hell broke loose. And he hadn't tried them before. So, but see, that's the conversation. If you're going slow and you have said open book on topics because you really want to know each other, you really want to understand each other, then it's okay. At an old age, women need things too. And I don't need to go into specifics, but it's not like when I was a kid. I got a plan for things, so there's a whole lot more to life than just that intimacy. There's a whole lot more. And when I got divorced the first time, I thought that was more important because I'd had the really good connection with my first husband. I had the gears meshing together. So I knew what I wanted, but I fell for the lust. So there's like, lust, love. I liked him. I lusted after him. He said he loved me, so I married him. And I told myself I loved him. And I did. And then I didn't. And then I still tried to stay in the marriage because I didn't want to be divorced at 60 plus. Well, guess what? So what? I'm divorced after 60 and I don't give a shit. It's effing awesome. And I really love life together now. I love everything I get in touch with, and I love everybody I meet, and I love all of the tension and the stress, and I love all of it because how else do you grow? How else do you know who you are? And if you stop the intimate side of relationships, there's only certain guys that are going to be able to handle that for X amount of time. So this is a really funny story. There was one guy, oh God, he's a widower. He's the one that took the ED meds. But here's how he managed getting himself in my bed. He meets me. The first night, he's got his hand down my shirt. And I'm like, whoa, dude. And then he goes, well, how long it's going to take before we go to bed? I'm like, what? I just met you. He goes, yeah, but I've been I've been with one woman for 47 years and married for 37, and we didn't do anything for a while, and I got to make sure it still works. And I'm thinking, been there, done that. And I looked at him and I said, look, we are not jumping in the sack. I don't know anything about you. So here's what it's going to take. I have to see your house. I have to see how you live. I have to meet some friends. I have to, be with you, not intimately, several times. He goes, well, how many dates? And I go, I don't know, 6 or 7. Every single time we had a date. Okay, when can I have the next date? And he's ticking them off on his little calendar. So then I was kind of like between a rock and a hard place because I sort of made a commitment. And so I'm like, okay, 7 dates. All right, fine. So he had a beautiful home, gorgeous home on 3 acres, looking out over the mountains up in Placerville. I helped him stage it to sell it because when I met him, he said, I have to sell my home and I'm moving with my daughter. We're going to buy a place together and I'm not going to live here. And I went, okay. So I knew it was going to be short term and I knew I wanted to experience him. And I also told him, I'm your rebound girl because you haven't been with another woman for 47 years. I guess he had one affair. He said he had one affair sometime when he was in Italy on business. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. But he hadn't been intimate with anyone for 10 years. So guys get really, they get really worried. They can take care of themselves, but they don't know if they can do anything with a woman. And that's important. And so when you online date in the older section of life, you it's not like you're a sex therapist, but it's like you go, okay, so I'm going to, help you through this process of reintegrating into life, that part of life. And so, yeah, I agree. That's what he was telling me anyway. But I did meet his family and they kind of corroborated it. So that was funny because I had told him 6 or 7 dates. And these are the parameters under which I will then go to bed with you. And oh my God, this guy knew how to move the process. This was a guy who didn't get married till his late 30s, Italian, cute as a button, from New Jersey. And he knew what he was doing. He told me how many lovers he'd had. Way more than me. Like he's in the triple digits. I was like in the, 12. But it's not about how many. Right? It's about quality, and it's about tenderness, and it's about acceptance, and it's about understanding we're not all spring chickens and everything doesn't work the way it used to. And so you got to have those discussions. And that's one reason to go slow. Because how embarrassing if you try to jump into bed like too soon and nothing's working and you got to bring out everything you need, you got to have those discussions ahead of time. You have to be an adult, So Samantha came on first. I wish I could bring her back, but I would have to go through too much of a change to pull it off. It would take too long and I don't want to drop away from this yet. So Samantha would tell you, instant gratification, you have to be always ready, right? And you have to be in good shape. You have to take care of yourself. And you want to avoid the gift that keeps on giving. Oh, yeah, any issues, any of that stuff, you got to check that out. So that's kind of where I'm coming from at the moment. I have a sense that this guy is the final. I have that sense and he has that sense. And we talked about it last night. We talked about what the future looks like. We talked about 2 to 5 years from now. We didn't just talk about knowing each other a year from now. We didn't talk about being in a relationship a year from now. We talked about 2 to 5 years from now. And we talked about what we want to be doing in 2 to 5 years. And he wants to help me achieve some of my goals. He set that visualization before we met. I just read my visualization from 1/8/2022. I described him to a T. Is that scary or what? Not physically, but emotional, heart, soul, how they think, how he thinks, how he communicates, what he believes in. We are gears. We are meshing. I don't even know if I would have figured that out if he'd been one of those guys that took me to bed or tried to take me to bed on the 2nd or 3rd date and cut a deal, for 5 or 6 or 7 dates. And then, oh boy, we get to go to bed, and he's helped me grow up. And he is saying to me, he wants to be my anchor. And that's just huge. It's huge. So I can be Samantha, or I was Samantha in the past. And now I don't know who I am, but I'm someone else. I guess I'm a grown-up version of me at 19 when I went celibate and met the next love of my life, the first love of my life. So that's kind of my go live. Anybody have any questions or comments? I think it's more about just cuddling and holding each other. That's intimacy to me, being 60 plus. Yeah, he has said that several times. And so it's okay if he is not, truly functional for whatever reason. Oh, I'm Carrie Bradshaw now. Okay, cool. Actually, I was looking for a wig, but I don't have any wigs that would pull off her. But I thought my Samantha was a cool way to start the instant gratification piece. That helped me kind of get what I wanted to say about that out without being embarrassed. Okay, so that was fun. Hope you guys had fun. And any more things that we should be doing? Anybody have any comments or questions? And one of my dear buddies, I don't know if she's still there, but she helped me through some stuff in my last marriage. So actually, I think I'm going to put you in the book, doll. You're going to be in the book. Oh, thank you, Museum Guy. Oh, Museum Guy's willing to go live. He has to be off camera, but he's willing to give the male point of view about this. Would you guys want that? Let me know, either here or, message me. I finally learned how to read the arrows at the top of the Instagram. I'm so sorry if you guys have been sending me messages and I didn't get it. Yes, we've talked politics. We've talked everything. It would blow your mind what we've gotten into. And what did he say was the reason he was attracted to your profile? What I said in my energy. I have a big smile. I also have a very photographic profile because I had a photographer take one picture of me staring out a window with a little smile, and he's a photographer. So that kind of caught him. So I want to see your new beau. He won't let you see him. His family has seen this TikTok. They know he's dating me, and he wants to give you his point of view but he wants to be off camera, and I want to honor that. Yeah, me too. I feel like we need the male's point of view. So I'm interviewing him for the book. Any guys, like Richard was just here, and there's a couple other guys, I really want to interview you for your point of view on the online dating. And I'm going to get down and dirty. We're going to talk intimacy and all the other stuff, because the book is not going to be any good if it's just from my point of view. Also, if you guys have any friends who are gay that are doing online dating, I want to talk to them. I'm super committed to the book. I've already written, I had 20 pages, but I had to dump a bunch of them. But I need to expand in a whole bunch of areas. And it's really fun writing this book because I think it is needed right now. So the working title, Winning at the Internet Dating Game After 50. It's not all about happily ever after. Okay? Having a mutual friend is an instant background check. That helps, but that doesn't happen for me because I'm too far away from where I was in the prior marriage. So none of my friends live anywhere close. There's only 2 people that do, and they don't know him. Okay, any more? I am 69, and my neighbor directly across from my apartment flirts with me constantly, but teeth are what? The teeth are nasty? Yeah, I don't do nasty teeth either. Oh, they're important to me. He doesn't have any. Oh, but the kisses might be amazing. Why doesn't he have any? Implants are super expensive, but they're still dentures. The guy that lost him in the sailing accident, he was doing implants. $36,000 for the first set. OMG. Feels so bad. That's horrible. That's a car in your mouth. Okay, anybody else? My girlfriend and I met 19 months ago, fell in love, and are now making plans to move in together. Nice, Richard. Good job. Hard. No teeth, no dates. Kind of. I mean, what would I look like without teeth? Oh, hiya. It's just, it's our society. It's also hard to eat without teeth. So, you live on liquid shakes and soups. Pretty nasty. I mean, you could do it. This is boring. I like to chew. Okay, what else? I'm pretty much done. I'll put it up on my YouTube, Sexy, Lean, and Strong. It takes a few days because I have to go there and remember how to do it. I don't know how to get this to, it's a word you want to use. I don't know how to get it to replay. I know there's a way to replay a live, the full length, on TikTok because I watch people, but when I go over to the replay, they're like, yeah, no, They only load 3 minutes, but we can load 3 minutes. At least we'll see Samantha. Okay, I love you guys. Do you think your previous books are relevant to dating today? They weren't really a lot about online dating, but yes, in the sense of there's a lot of mantras and affirmations and things about after divorce, surviving after 50. So, and I only have one book, Sexy, Lean, and Strong After 50. How I went from fat, depressed, and divorced to the best shape of my life, and how you can too. It's at Amazon. And this one's going to be wild. Really wild. Okay, love you all. I think we're done. Mwah! Have a great one. Bye.